Hey everybody, thanks for checking in on Let's Talk About It. I'm really excited about this episode. Jimmy Lackey and I have been friends a long time. I was at West Texas A&M University when he was at the alumni department. So we've had that relationship together throughout all of those years. And then, of course, we know all the wonderful work that he's done with Kids Inc. So I wanted to bring him in. They've got some exciting new things happening. So let's talk about it with Jimmy Lackey. I know it's hard to predict. When do you think we'll have the first?
So when we signed the contract, the original completion date on there, and these are all, fluid, but 4/27/27 was the completion date, so a year from this April. Last week, we have construction meeting every Thursday at 2. Last week it was 3/16, so it had already been moved up a month because they base that off a 5-day work week, and they've been working 6 days a week, and we hadn't had any weather. Now we're fixing to get some this weekend. But that's going to be the first batch of weather that'll be interruption. So they're already way ahead of schedule.
Good.
And we'll see. We'll see what comes along. But they're moving quick.
So a year from this March or April again, that can slide one way or the other.
Yeah. We're hoping our spring sports in 27 will be live out there. That's the plan.
I want to go back to the beginning of this because Kids Inc. has done a lot of amazing things through how many decades now? Is it 8?
We just started year 81.
81, yeah. So 8 decades. There's been some huge news throughout the years with Kids Inc. I think when you called me, I can't remember if it was a text or a call when this all started. Kind of, you're like, "Hey, this is something big is getting ready to happen." How did this all come together? How did this thing start?
I mean, be honest with you.
Yeah.
I called a bunch of leaders here in town, and obviously people that were going to have to ask for some money. This was going to have to be a private deal. The last conversation I had with Jerry Hodge in his office when I talked to him about this project, Jerry looked me in the eye and said, "Jimmy, do you realize the last time when we passed a parks bond in Amarillo, Texas, I was a rookie city commissioner in 1974. And I knew it had been a long time, but I didn't realize it had been that long. That was when John Stiff Park was put in place. And so that's 50 years, Andy. We're talking 51, 52 years ago. And he said, "I like your project." He said, "I'm proud for y'all to get this going." And then Jerry got sick, and we weren't able to involve him. But I brought a lot of people like Jerry to the table. I had about 25 of them in a room at this first meeting. And everybody sat down, and before I pulled all the paperwork out to show them what I had in mind, I said, "Did everybody check their ego at the door?" And they all grinned. I said, "I'm being serious. I got competitors in the room. I understand. I don't work in your world. I'm not in the corporate world here. I'm in the nonprofit business, and I need all of you in on this deal." And they said, "Absolutely." And from that day forward, we weren't planning to announce it as quickly as we had to. And this is a real funny story. My daughter at the time, her and my son-in-law lived in Allen, Texas, and it was on a Sunday. And Kennedy texted, or she called me. She goes, "Dad, is your project supposed to be on Facebook?" And I go, "No." Well, we were having brochures printed, and there was QR codes in them to send you to video and stuff. And I guess somebody at the print shop decided, "Well, that's cool."
Oh, no.
And so I called Richard Ware and Terry Cavness on a Sunday afternoon. I said, "Gentlemen, we're going to have to go live this week. We got to announce this project." And they said, "Okay." And so we had a press conference on that Tuesday. I said, I'll work with the media. They're good to us. I said, let me push them off till Tuesday, get our wits about us. So we met Monday and talked about how we were going to approach it. And so we had that press conference on that Tuesday, announced the project. So then the next day, Richard and Terry and I went to lunch and Tall. And I said, "Guys, I need y'all in first." They said, "Well, we were going to go in last." I said, "No, y'all are going in first." And so
it's like filling out a lineup, right? You're like, I got to have you guys leading off here.
So 2 weeks later, we announced a $2 million gift from Amarillo National, $2 million gift from Cavness Beef Packers, and another $2 million from an anonymous donor. And that was the $6 million that kicked it off.
The sheer number, obviously you got some heavy hitters there. But, it was such a huge goal to come out. And you're right. I want to go back before we kind of keep going there, stop and go back to, you're right about the parks thing. I don't know how many times that we have had bonds up, and Amarillo voters just don't do it.
Yeah.
If it is, I mean,
Roads, law enforcement, firefighting,
all
the
day.
things we got to have, they'll do it.
But in terms of investing for the kid stuff, the parks, the aquatic center, no. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't realize it had been that long since something with the parks.
I've probably been, my time, I've been at Kids Inc. This is year 31 for me. I've probably been a part of 5 or 6 failed parks bonds, that have been put forth to voters. And, it is what it is. We have offices in Elk City, Oklahoma, and they're funded a little differently over there, but they've spent $20 million on facilities on us over in Elk City, Oklahoma, a town of 12,000. Hereford, we got a brand new baseball and softball complex over there next to 2 of our privately funded fields over there. And, each community is just different. And that's how you have to treat them. You can't go in and say, well, this is how we do it in Amarillo, so we're going to do it this way in Hereford or Dalhart.
Well, Amarillo and Canyon are different.
Very much so.
What it takes for Amarillo, I mean, to try to get a school bond passed, that's hard.
Yeah.
In Canyon, it may be hard, but they get them passed.
Anymore, it's almost like it's a science, and you have to really plan. It's almost like any political campaign.
It is.
You just have to have a grassroots group, and you've got to pound the pavement and hope to goodness that what you're trying to accomplish gets done, because it's.
Well, and that's why
difficult.
when you see those, a lot of times we have friends in that world, right? So we have your Wendy Swopes
Yep.
and your Kim Mays and those
Yep.
people that they get involved in these because it takes so much, because you have to, again, you're selling it to the public and that it needs to be done.
Somebody told me whoever puts out the most signs, and I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what it's come to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm the world's worst talk about politics. Bill Bandy, our mutual friend, always told me, he said, Jimmy, if I ever got to come back in this life again, I want to come back and be your dog, because I love dogs, but you wouldn't catch me running for dog catcher.
Hey, I agree with you there, Jimmy. Well, so we're moving that along. Everything's going well, and so we're just going to keep getting updates on that from time to time.
Yep.
I do want to talk about, this is going to be time stamped. It may not run exactly when this is coming out, but it's January 21st when we are recording this, and literally just before you walked in, and you told me something was getting ready to come out, and you just made it official. Tell me about today's breaking news.
Yeah, we just literally probably 30 minutes ago hit the button. I've been visiting with the folks from Texas Panhandle Youth Sports Foundation for at least as long as we've been doing the Rockrose campaign. And they do all the baseball and softball programs here in town. And that includes West Texas Baseball League, Amarillo Area Baseball League, Canyon Baseball Association, and West Texas Fast Pitch.
So what are the ages of the groups that?
Oh my
that
gosh,
are
all the way 4 and under, all the way up to your high school kid.
Yeah.
And so, and that's draft leagues, select leagues, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And so, Rob Woods has pretty much manhandled the baseball leagues for about 25 years himself. He's almost like a one-arm paper hanger. And then Angela Greason of late has ran West Texas Fast Pitch.
Okay.
And they all were operating under the umbrella of the Texas Panhandle Youth Sports Foundation. And I planted a seed with them shortly after we announced Rockrose that, first off, Kids Inc. doesn't do baseball and softball. We don't go in and step on people's toes. We're not looking to get into a new business. If this is something y'all wanted to consider putting with us, we'd love to have you, but y'all are going to be the ones using the baseball and softball fields, not us. Yeah. But we knew we needed those components at Rockrose. And so as time went on, and I think they realized this thing's going to happen, this was an opportunity for them to gain a full-blown staff, a front office, place the phone rings all day long, gets answered. You're not calling somebody's cell phone trying to get a hold of them.
Wow.
And so we've spent the last several weeks getting websites ready, getting payment systems ready, getting everything that they did on their end moved over into our operations, and the button was hit today. We literally added, so when you take, I'll give you an example. Let's take Canyon Baseball Association. They have a 4 and under, 6 and under, 8 and under, 10 and under, 12 and under, and 15 and under Babe Ruth League.
Okay.
Each one of those is a separate season. So you take that with West Texas Baseball, Canyon Baseball Association, Amarillo Area Baseball League, and West Texas Fast. We added 32 sports seasons to our menu overnight last night. Financials, accounting, registration, everything that has to go in to get it on the back end ready to go to push the button. So when they go to the website, they can sign up, and that's available today.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I don't know how y'all do it. I mean, with all, I mean, it's
great staff.
how many people do you have working for you?
There's 19 of us on the Kids Inc. staff here in Amarillo. Of course, we have offices in Elk City, Oklahoma. We have offices in Dalhart, and we have offices in Hereford. And those are all set up as separate nonprofits. We have Hereford Sports and Wellness, the Rawl Activity Center in Dalhart, and then Kids Incorporated of Elk City, Oklahoma. And I have staffs in each one of those communities. But the crew that I have here is, some of them have been with me a long time. I mean, Craig's been with me 28 years. Yeah. You know, Tasha and Kiva have been there 20 plus years. And so Jill Martinez, who was my secretary when I went to Kids Inc. in 1995 and had an opportunity to go to work with her mom, she just came back after 20 years in October and is back on our staff. Yeah. You know, and so
you got my friend Haley Bell over there.
Haley's the one that had to put all the yeoman's work in, getting all these I's dotted and T's crossed, and she's just been a rock star and getting all this ready to go. You know, she was able to interpret it because her kids played baseball, so she knows they've played the draft and they've done the select leagues, and so she could internalize what Rob and Angela were telling her and get it from pen to paper, get it to the computer, and get it. So it's been a lot of work, but I just have good people on our staff.
That's literally, I mean, again, literally, if you pull up any social media that you follow Kids Inc. with, you can bring it up, and they'll be rocking and rolling. I want to tell you a personal story. So I played Kids Inc. Before I went out to Boys Ranch, and so I just remember getting that first, because it was T-ball, and it was Humphreys Highland, and I was on the T-ball team, and I just remember that shirt. I didn't want to take it off. Because for the first time, I was a part of something, right? So growing up, we just didn't have any money. My mom was a single mom working a 2 to 10 shift at a truck stop. We didn't have a whole lot of money, and so I didn't get to participate in a whole lot of things. But I remember what it felt like to have that shirt, and so to know that it has continued on for 8 decades, and then really what ties me into and puts the bow on this package is obviously my love for Cal Farley, which then in turn his love for kids, because I think a lot of people forget Cal Farley, Kids Inc. I mean,
Maverick Club 35, Boys Ranch in 39, Kids Inc. in 45. Yeah.
And I didn't know this story till the other day. One of your staff members told me this. We were over at Glenwood Elementary, and we were sitting there, and it's I lead with AISD. I didn't realize that Glenwood was the first Kids Inc.
Where it started. It's where Mr. Duggar picked up the first 11 kids
to take out to Boys Ranch to play those kids.
So the Maverick Club.
The Maverick Club, yeah.
Mr. Dykeman's kids.
Yeah.
That's how it started. First Monday in January 1945. He picked up 11 kids with the bobtail truck, took them over to the Maverick Club, and that's how it started. You know, you talk about Mr. Farley, and my affinity to have had the opportunity to get to meet him would have been a dream, but I knew Jeannie and Sherm very well, and I know Cal, and I know you do too. And you know, people say, well, that Kids Inc. shirt, and you mentioned that was Mr. Farley's idea. And they always say, well, Jimmy, why don't you do the fancier uniforms, or why don't you do this? I'm saying, you know what? Mr. Farley wanted every kid to have the same uniform. And far be it from me to be the one to change that.
Yeah.
And
it's that T-shirt, though, because if it were a fancy
it's iconic.
whatever, my kids wore, when I got my kids into Kids Inc., they wore those shirts to school. So it wasn't just a plaything. Yeah. It was
fad.
It's look, I'm a part of this team. So I love that you guys continue to do that you guys haven't changed that. So much has changed and progressed, and you guys have done so many great things. But I love that little head nod to the past with those Kids Inc.
Yeah,
shirts.
I was sitting at a table, this has been years ago, but I was sitting at a table with Jerry Hodge, Bill Ware, when Bill was still with us, Ronnie Mankin. There was a whole crew of them, Carl Birdsong. And I said, guys, I don't know, Eddie Scott. I said, I don't know what it's like to be in y'all's world, in the corporate world. I don't know what it's like, but I can't make y'all understand how much satisfaction I get out of doing what I do. Yeah. You know, everybody's wired differently. And my dad asked me when I was 18 years old, my dad was a coach. He said, what are you going to do when you go to school? I said, I'm going to be an athletic director. I just didn't know it was going to be for 4-year-olds. You know, and so.
That is so well said.
Yeah, so here we are.
And how many years now have you been with Kids Inc.?
This is year 31 for me.
31.
I took this job in November of 95.
We're really close because I'm right behind you at KMR. I was in
Yeah.
'97.
So I was going to turn the tables here and say this while I
Okay.
was here. You are the dean of broadcasters in this town now, Andy. And I was
crazy.
running the alumni office at the university when you were a student.
Yeah.
And so I got to watch from a distance. And I remember the relationship you had with
Dr.
Lee Brown.
Brown.
Oh, yeah. Lee and I were freshmen together in college. And so I got to watch you from afar and then also for up close and personal, too. And to watch what you've done and see how you go about doing this job, you're one of our icons in this community. And I mean that. And, and to know where you came from, and that there's a connection between me and you with Mr. Farley as a commonality means a lot to me because there's not many days I don't think about him. I think about Mr. Duggar. I went to Jim Brock's funeral yesterday. Jim was one of my predecessors. He was there running Kids Inc. from 73 to 83, and I appreciate you delaying this for me for a day because it was important for me to be there for Jim. Jim and my dad refereed together when I was a kid, so Jim's known me. He came to see me on my first day on the job, and he was so happy I was there. And those are relationships that mean a lot to me. And when I meet with people with that common thread, it's nice to be able to have those conversations.
Because we know it's more than us, right? And I appreciate you saying everything that you said, Jimmy, but I always feel it's not but by the grace of God that I'm here. And had Cal Farley not started Boys Ranch, I would not have had a place to go. And I would not have, I would not, I know without a shadow of a doubt I wouldn't be where I was today had Boys Ranch not been there. And so when you take these people, the Duggars and Farleys and the Lackeys, right, who have given up so much of their life to make sure that a kid feels valued and can find their worth. Sometimes it's just a little hinkling in a sports, or maybe it's just a good job from one of those volunteer coaches or a teacher out at Boys Ranch. But to feel that impact, you don't do it for the money, you don't do it for the accolades, you do it because it's about giving kids a
you get to be my age, you start reflecting a lot more. And somebody, this has been 2 weeks ago. Somebody said, what were you put on? What were you? What is your role here on this earth? I said, I got 3 things I can tell you real quickly. Number one, I was here to put on this earth, serve the Lord, serve my family, and serve fellow man. Mm-hmm. My fellow man gets to be through the process of Kids Inc. for the most part. Yeah. And I tell people, Tom, we were standing out there in the hallway a while ago. I told him, I said, man, if we don't get kids involved, I don't care if it's sports, theater, choir, band, something, kids have to be involved in organized activities. People have heard me say this for years. But in this day and time, if we let them sit off to the side by themselves and we don't get them acclimated to one another and interacting with other kiddos, their success rate drops immensely. Yeah. And social acclimation in this day and time for young people is critical. And if we can just put them in something, and if it happens to be one of our programs, and introduce them to a sport.
Right, I agree.
90% of them are never going to go do that for a long term. But if they meet other kids or their parents meet other families that they become friends with, there's a whole social experiment involved at Kids Incorporated, and a lot of people make their best friends with that first group of kiddos they play with.
And I believe that's when we start learning, and it is a skill that we learn as a kid, and we even take into our adulthood of again, finding those connections, right? Mm-hmm. If I had gone to school and I had not found Lee Browning or Guy Yates or my close friendships that I had there, maybe I don't stay. It's those connections and those being a part of something greater than yourself that reminds you that you can do it, right? I don't know how many times you've heard of the story where a kid just doesn't get connected, falls off the map, and something happens to them, or they drop out of school or whatever else. It is, and I would say this to the parents out there, get your kids involved. Kids Inc. is a great program. If Kids Inc. isn't that thing, find out what it is. It could be Amarillo Little Theater. It could be Cub Scouts, Girls. It could be anything. But get those kids involved. Get them connected so that way they begin to learn those skills, right?
We have to.
And it gives us a chance to set the phones down for a second and get in there and have those connections and have those meaningful relationships. So, Jimmy, you guys have been doing it 81 years. I know that it's going to continue long after we're gone. You guys have set that up throughout the years to succeed. I like to be on the sidelines cheering you guys on, knowing that you guys are impacting the youth of Amarillo. And I do believe this. I believe that Amarillo is a better place because Kids Inc.
Well, I think
is
there'd be
here.
a big hole. I think if it washed away today, there'd be a big hole.
We would feel it. And that's when you know that you're doing something.
Yeah.
Is what would life be in the absence of it?
Yeah.
And that means that you guys
Yeah, you take
are-
people out of it. It's the organization itself. You take this out of Amarillo, big hole.
All right, tell everybody where we can come. If we've got kids out there that need to get involved in something, you guys have a lot of different activities, a lot of different sports. I felt like my kids, we threw everything at them and decided what was going to fit and what wasn't. Where do they go?
Kidsinc.org.
Okay.
You can find anything you want right there. I remember building the very first website, and I did that for a master's class in summer of '96, and it was so antiquated.
Yeah.
And where we are today and how much everybody relies on social media and the things that we do. But our Facebook page gets a lot of traffic. But kidsinc.org and our Facebook page.
I will tell you, as good as you were at your job at WT, working with the Alumni Association, which you were amazing, and it was always good to see you in the halls and over at Buffalo Courts and everything else. The calling on your life is exactly what you're doing. There is no doubt in my mind you're doing exactly what you are geared to do.
Well, hands down.
And I love seeing that as your friend. I always say I love it. I love to watch my friends do cool things.
Yeah.
And when they find their thing, whatever that is, and they're the best. I don't know. I'm glad that I can call you a friend.
Yeah. You know, you hope that for everybody.
Yeah.
Because you and I both know there's a lot of people doing stuff they don't like doing. And they really ought to go find something they enjoy doing. I got lucky.
Our time is so short.
It's
You and
fleeting.
I pass when you pass the 50-yard line in life, you realize it's just a different look at it, right? And so we've got to make the best with what we have.
I've got a corny statement about that.
Okay, tell me.
Life's like a roll of toilet paper. The closer you get to the end, faster it goes.
And I don't have anything else to add to that.
That's how it is.
I told you it was going to be a good Let's Talk About It. Jimmy, thank you for all that you do, and thanks for coming in.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.